I return home, weary after a prolonged stint of travel, hoping for nothing more than the sanctuary of my own bed. The last few months have been an exhausting blur of airports and hotel rooms, and I yearn for the familiar comfort of my sanctuary. But as I step into the house, quietly closing the door behind me, the solace I seek is immediately shattered. The sight before me both surprises and stuns me in a way I never could have anticipated. There he sits, my stepson Marcus, on the couch in the living room, the dim lighting of the lamp casting an eerie glow over the scene. I notice him awkwardly, his hand moving frenziedly, and my heart stops for a moment. He is unaware of my presence, lost in his world, eyes glued to the screen of his laptop. He doesn't hear me enter, and I stand transfixed, unsure of how to react. A myriad of emotions washes over me. This is Marcus, the boy I've known since he was a toddler, the child my husband brought into our marriage. We've shared countless moments, from family vacations to Sunday morning breakfasts. I watched him grow up, shared laughter and tears, and we've always had a unique bond. But this is something I never imagined. For a brief moment I consider retreating, giving him his privacy. But my feet remain rooted to the spot. A sense of intrigue and boldness overcomes me, and I decide to play along with this strange game. A mischievous thought flashes across my mind, and I tell myself this could be the beginning of something intriguing, and so I take a deep breath, clearing my throat gently to announce my presence. The sound startles Marcus, and his hand freezes, guilt and shock painting his face. His eyes, wide with surprise, meet mine, and we share an extended moment of silent communication, the air thick with unspoken words. I maintain my composure, choosing to treat this situation with a maturity I wasn't sure I possessed. "Hi, Marcus," I say, my voice calm and controlled. "I didn't expect to find you here at this hour." His embarrassment is almost tangible. He opens and closes his mouth several times, struggling to form words. I, he stammers. "I didn't think anyone would be back so soon." "Well, here I am," I reply with a soft smile. I notice his eyes lingering on my suitcase, and I decide to drive the conversation forward. "Your father isn't here, but he should be home tomorrow. I thought I'd beat the rush and get back early." As I speak, I notice his gaze drifting downwards, his discomfort evident. I take a bold step forward, descending into the realm of the bizarre and enticing. "Don't let me interrupt you, Marcus. Please continue. I won't judge. We all have our needs after all." I watch as a myriad of expressions flit across his face, confusion, curiosity, and a hint of something darker, something hidden. A part of me wonders if I've made a grave mistake, but the thrill of the unknown keeps me anchored to the spot. I don't think I can," he mumbles, his voice barely above a whisper. "Nonsense, dear. You're a man, aren't you? Or do you need some help?" I suggest, my voice teasingly laced with a challenge. The silence that ensues is heavy, pregnant with unspoken thoughts. I've crossed a line, pushed a boundary, and I await his reaction with bated breath. Finally, he sighs, the sound laden with resignation. I need help, Sarah. I always seem to falter when it matters most." The use of my name sends a shiver down my spine, a mix of intimacy and danger. I take another step towards him, my intentions both nurturing and perversely enticing. "Well, consider me your teacher for tonight, Marcus. I can help you through this." As I approach, he squirms, his hesitation palpable. But I know I must break this barrier, explore the boundaries of this newfound dynamic. "You trust me, don't you, Marcus?" I ask softly. He nods, almost imperceptibly, his eyes large pools of uncertainty. And so, I sit beside him, letting my perfume wrap around us, a silent conspirator in this strange dance. "Watch and learn, Marcus," I whisper, picking up where he left off, my mind already spinning with the consequences of this reckless decision. What transpires after is both exhilarating and forbidden. I find myself taking the lead, becoming his guide through uncharted territories. I become a confidant and teacher, pushing boundaries, navigating awkward moments, and indulging in moments of searing intimacy. The night blurs into morning, and we leave the events unspoken, the weight of our shared secret hanging heavily between us. How could I have predicted the turn my life would take that ordinary morning? Sitting across from Marcus at the kitchen table, the morning light illuminating the tension in the air, I was confronted with the aftermath of our impulsive actions. The previous night's events still felt like a surreal blur, and I knew Marcus was navigating a storm of emotions. "I'm truly sorry, Sarah," he began, his voice heavy with regret. "I was caught off guard when I saw you." He averted his gaze, focusing intently on the intricate design of the tablecloth, as if seeking sanctuary in its familiar pattern. I didn't know how to react. My heart went out to him. It wasn't just the apology in his voice. It was the raw vulnerability painted across his features. I had watched Marcus grow from an inquisitive child to a thoughtful young man, and in that moment, I saw all the versions of him. I wanted to reassure him, to provide the comfort he seemed to be seeking. "It's okay, Marcus," I said gently, offering a warm smile. "You don't need to apologize. We've all been there, caught in moments where our desires get the better of us." His eyes flickered to mine, a flicker of surprise and relief melting the tension in his features. "Really? You understand?" The plea in his eyes was clear, and I realized he was battling more than a simple feeling of awkwardness. He was grappling with a larger issue, one that had perhaps been suppressed for far too long. Sensing this was more than a run-of-the-mill heart-to-heart, I decided to go the extra mile. "I do, Marcus," I affirmed. "I know it's a challenge, but we can talk about it. You don't have to suffer in silence. I'm here to listen, and if you need help, I'm willing to lend a hand." His breath hitched, and his eyes widened, as if my offer had unlocked something within him. He leaned forward, his hands bracketing his plate, his voice barely above a whisper. "You'd do that for me? But what would we even—" I was moved by the raw honesty in his question, and the hope that was somehow evident in his hesitation. It was then I made a decision that would forever change the course of our lives. "I'll teach you," I said with a level of conviction that surprised even me. "We'll start with the basics: communication, confidence, and maybe a little bit of the art of romance. Baby steps, but it'll be a start." The room fell silent as my words resonated. I could see the battle in his expression, a mix of curiosity, fear, and something else, something more primal. It was as if the weight of societal norms and the lure of taboo were wrestling within him. "But Sarah, I know we've always been close, but you're still my stepmom. Doesn't this seem, I don't know, wrong somehow?" His words tugged at my heartstrings. I knew this was a delicate balance, one that could reshape our lives. Yet, in that moment, I felt an overwhelming desire to push past the expected. I reached across the table, my hand brushing his lightly. "Family is more than blood, Marcus," I began, my voice soft yet resolute. "Sometimes it's about being there for each other no matter what. I want to help you, and if this is how I can, then so be it. We'll take this step together." The morning sun shone brighter, as if celebrating our decision. As I looked into Marcus's eyes, I saw a shift, a flicker of determination gradually replacing the initial apprehension. He nodded, a barely perceptible movement, but one laden with significance. "Okay, Sarah." His voice was steadier now. "I trust you. It can be our little secret, our way of forging a unique bond. I'm ready for my first lesson." A smile played on my lips, and I knew in that instant that our relationship had forever been altered. Though the path ahead was uncharted and likely fraught with challenges, the allure of this untamed adventure was undeniable. The days that followed our transformative conversation took on an unusual rhythm, marked by an unspoken pact between us. I, Sarah, the matriarch of this domestic sphere, found myself assuming a new role, one that both excited and terrified me. Marcus was now my student, eager and bashful in equal measure. Our home, once a haven of familiarity, had become a classroom of sorts, where lessons on desire and human connection played out in the most unexpected ways. I began by teaching Marcus the art of subtlety, a powerful tool in the realm of seduction. Each day I chose my attire with deliberate care, allowing my wardrobe to become a teaching aid of sorts. A loose silk blouse, a hint of cleavage, or a flirty skirt. Each outfit served as a lesson in its own right, allowing me to maintain an air of mystery while tantalizing his senses. Marcus, ever observant, would notice these subtle changes, a spark of understanding flashing in his eyes. His initial shyness gave way to moments of boldness, as if he were grasping the power of suggestion. On one particular afternoon, I swept through the living room in a flowing, sheer summer dress, its bright floral pattern dancing with each step. I felt his gaze follow my figure, his eyes lingering on the gentle curves it hinted at. Sensing his growing curiosity, I paused, letting the fabric cling to my skin, offering a glimpse yet retaining an air of secrecy. His breath caught in his throat, and I could almost hear the cogs of desire turning in his mind. "It's about patience, Marcus," I said softly, my voice carrying across the room. The slow revelation of beauty, the art of keeping someone guessing. I spun, letting the dress swirl around me, a living, breathing extension of my body. The key is in the tension, creating it, sustaining it, and then, just when they least expect it, releasing it. As I spoke, I witnessed him absorb this new lesson. His eyes, initially fixated on the sensual display before him, now held a newfound understanding. This was more than a mere physical attraction. It was about harnessing the power of suggestion, of making the seemingly ordinary extraordinary. Our days turned into a delicate dance, each step a lesson in revealing and concealing. I became his tutor, offering insights into the complexities of human desire, a world both ethereal and palpable. With every subtle exposure, I felt his confidence grow, his inhibitions melting away under the warmth of my encouragement. During another lesson, I chose to accentuate my femininity with a pair of fitted jeans and a low-cut blouse, emphasizing my silhouette. The look on Marcus's face as he walked into the room told me he appreciated the visual. "Notice how each outfit tells a different story," I instructed, pausing in the doorway. "It's about capturing attention, evoking emotions, and leaving them wanting more." We ventured beyond the boundaries of attire, exploring the nuances of touch and the roles of proximity and distance. One moment I might be leaning close, my breath a whisper against his ear. The next, maintaining a purposeful distance, letting the tension build between us. These were intricate lessons, intertwining the physical with the psychological, teaching Marcus to recognize and harness his cravings. "It's all about embracing your desires without apology," I explained as we stood facing each other, mere inches apart. "It's not just about what you want, but how you communicate that longing. The body speaks its own language, and we must learn to interpret and respond to it." In these moments, I watched Marcus bloom, his initial awkwardness giving way to a burgeoning understanding of himself and the subtle dynamics of human interaction. The education was as much about self-discovery as it was about technical knowledge, and I delighted in seeing him grow into his confidence. Our unconventional curriculum, woven into the fabric of our daily lives, was not without its challenges and uncertainties. Yet, with each little step, Marcus moved closer to mastering the arts I had set out to teach him. I felt a sense of pride in his progress, mixed with an unexpected feeling of personal liberation, a realization that I, too, was learning through this process. As the dusk of that fateful evening enveloped our quiet home, I felt a certain electricity in the air, a tangible anticipation of what the night might bring. The dimmed lights and quiet ambiance post-dinner had always lent a certain intimacy to our evenings, but this night was set to be different, pushing us further into uncharted territory. With a deliberate flair for the dramatic, I turned to Marcus and announced, "It's time for your education to escalate, my dear student." The curiosity in his eyes was immediate, a mixture of nervousness and eagerness, a look I had become familiar with over our recent days of unusual tutelage. I enjoyed playing the role of the enigmatic teacher, watching his reactions, gauging his progress. "Something different tonight," I continued, "a practical lesson of sorts." Sensing his growing anticipation, I led him to the living room, a conspiratorial smile playing on my lips. Tonight we delve deeper, exploring actions and reactions. I motioned for him to sit beside me on the couch, his eyes darting between me and the television screen, a silent question forming in his expression. With a flourish, I picked up the remote, turning on the TV to reveal scenes of explicit intimacy. His breath caught, and a flush crept up his neck as he began to comprehend my intent. "Your lessons so far have been theoretical, Marcus," I explained, my voice calm despite the provocative nature of the visuals. "Now it's time for you to understand the physical application of those desires." I could see the confliction in his gaze as he struggled to tear his eyes away from the screen. It was clear that this element of our unorthodox education was both thrilling and unnerving him. I leaned closer, letting my perfume envelop us, my presence a comforting and tantalizing counterpoint to the sensual images before us. "Watch and learn," I whispered. "See how they move, how they respond to each other. These are not just acts but dance movements, each filled with purpose and passion. And just as they engage in this dance, you must learn to move in sync with your desires." As the scene unfolded, I observed Marcus intently, noting how he tried to mirror the actions on screen, his hands fidgeting, his body language tentative. It was as if he was fighting a battle between his nerves and the burgeoning awareness of his physicality. "Go on, Marcus," I encouraged softly, sensing his hesitation. "Imitate the rhythm, feel the movement. It's not just about the body, but the emotions that drive it. Let your desires guide you." He hesitated then. With a deep breath, he began to follow the sensual choreography, his movements stiff at first but gradually gaining fluidity. His glances kept flickering to me, searching for approval, validation that he was on the right track. "That's it. Feel the rhythm," I coached, my voice steady, guiding him through the dance. "Let go of your inhibitions. This is a private conversation between you, your body, and your desires." As the scene intensified on screen, so did Marcus's movements. I watched, fascinated, as he began to navigate the ebbs and flow of his physical being, his initial hesitation melting under the heat of the moment. His eyes closed, lost in the sensuous exploration, and his face softened into an expression of almost peaceful concentration. The movie's climax arrived, and in its aftermath, Marcus opened his eyes, his gaze locking with mine, a mix of triumph and vulnerability in his expression. The room was charged with the energy of our joint discovery. A new level of understanding had been reached. "You see," I said, the pride in my voice evident, "this is about embracing your instincts, letting go of the fear and trusting the language of your body. It's a powerful tool, a force you can harness." The silence that followed was laden with unspoken questions and revelations. I could sense Marcus processing the events of the evening, the implications of this bold step in our peculiar bond, and the impact it had on his evolving understanding of himself. Through this unique teaching method, our relationship was transforming, redefining the conventional step-parent-stepchild dynamic. In guiding Marcus through these uncharted territories, I too was discovering layers of myself, unearthing a complex web of desires and motivations. With the continuing nocturnal theme, I decided to push Marcus to his limits, testing the depth of his newfound confidence and the breadth of our unique teaching-learning process. I selected a particular movie for this evening's lesson, one that I knew would challenge and stimulate, a sophisticated dance of desire played out on the screen. As the opening scene unfolded, I observed Marcus, noting the subtle changes in his demeanor that had become so familiar to me over the course of our unconventional education. "Tonight, I want you to truly understand the mechanics of pleasure," I said, my eyes holding his. "Pay close attention to the sensations, the reactions, and remember, this isn't just about the visuals, but the sensations they evoke." The movie's pace built up, and as the actors moved in sync, their passion rising, so too did Marcus's arousal. I observed the conflict in his expression, a war between his growing physical response and the social conditioning that dictated a need to hide such urges. "Feel it, Marcus," I urged, my voice a smooth contrast to the escalating tension. "Don't fight it. Let yourself go this once." My words seemed to break through the barricades of his inhibitions, and he surrendered, allowing the scene to wash over him. As the movie progressed, so did our conversation, evolving into a real-time, dynamic guidance session. I coaxed him through each step, my voice a soothing constant amidst the mounting stimulation. "Good, keep going," I encouraged as he mirrored the actions on screen. "Faster. Yes, just like that." His body moved in time with the rhythm of the visuals, and I watched, fascinated as he navigated the intricate dance of physical gratification. It was as if he was finally understanding the language of his own body, unlearning habits of restraint to embrace a world of unapologetic desire. When the scene crescendoed to its climax, Marcus reached a height that surprised even me. His eyes closed, body taut, he let out a low, almost inaudible groan, and I knew he had achieved something significant. But our exploration was not yet complete. I've never been able to do that," Marcus breathed, his eyes fluttering open, a mix of amazement and vulnerability in their depths. "Not with such intensity." "You've taken the experience to a new level," I affirmed, my voice imbued with satisfaction and a hint of pride. "And it's not over yet. There's always further to go, new frontiers to explore." The boldness of my words was not lost on either of us, and for a moment we sat in silence, digesting the events of the evening and their implications. The air was thick with unspoken suggestions and the residual heat of our shared discovery. "It's challenging," he said, his voice raspy, "staying in control." I smiled, leaning closer, relishing the heat of his blushing acknowledgement. "Self-control is but one facet of the experience, Marcus. Sometimes losing control is where the real learning begins." His eyes widened at the promise and danger in my words, and the momentary vulnerability in his gaze told me he was ready to explore this aspect of the education. As if on cue, the movie segued into its next scene, providing a sensual backdrop to our increasing emotional intimacy. "Let yourself go," I whispered, encouraging him to partake in the next chapter of this sensual journey. "With the right teacher, you'll accomplish new heights. It's all about pushing the boundaries, together." The night progressed, and so did our lessons. As we engaged in a heart-to-heart, the movies unspooling before us, I realized that through guiding Marcus, I was unlocking new dimensions within myself, challenging the boundaries of my own desires and perceptions. The promise in the air, the temptation to continue, was a siren call impossible to ignore. And so, I continued to instruct, challenge, and seduce, keenly aware that these lessons were as much for me as they were for my eager student. The night's lesson had a distinct intensity, its focus drawn sharply on the tangibility of desire and the intricacies of physical interaction. As the movie played on the screen, a quiet guide to a turbulent inner journey, Marcus's eyes seemed to absorb every subtle cue, every flicker of emotion played out by the actors. Yet, I perceived a new readiness in him, a desire to move beyond the passive observation of physical intimacy and towards active participation. Kneeling before him, our fingers entwined, I could sense a mounting tension beneath his calm exterior. "Touch is a powerful language, Marcus," I explained, my voice soft and measured. "It's a means to express, to explore, and to engage with one's most primal desires." His breath quickened, and I saw a spark of determination in his eyes as he moved his hands, prompted by my own, to trace the contours of his body, exploring the sensation as if discovering it for the first time. His touch was gentle yet purposeful, a tentative investigation of the pleasures inherent within his own form. "Feel the rhythm of your body, Marcus," I encouraged, my voice riding the crest of his rising excitement. "Let your hands guide you, teaching you the language of self-gratification." As he embraced this lesson, his movements became more assured, his fingers caressing his skin with an increasing awareness and purpose. His eyes, at once concentrated and distant, bore witness to his burgeoning comprehension of the artistry of physical exploration. In that moment, I chose to take the lesson further, a step towards a more daring frontier. Leaning in, my lips brushed his ear, the closeness of our bodies a potent stimulant. "Now I want you to touch me, Marcus. Explore the sensation as you do so, and share in the pleasure." He paused, his eyes widening with surprise and eagerness. A moment of hesitation passed between us, a flickering pause where the world paused to catch its breath. Then, with an air of purposeful resolve, his hands moved from his own body to mine, tracing the lines of my shoulders and then the gentle slopes of my neck. His touch was gentle, but it held a strength born of burgeoning sensuality. I closed my eyes, drawing in the experience, the sensations amplified by the trust and intimacy we had forged. As his fingers glided over the exposed flesh of my shoulders and arms, the heat of his touch singeing my skin, I knew I had guided him to a place of profound discovery. "Good, Marcus," I praised, my eyes catching his. "Feel the energy between us, the pleasure shared and exchanged. This is the essence of physical connection, a mutual dance of desire." As the movie's plotline shifted, so too did our physical dialogue. Emboldened by his progress, I decided it was time for Marcus to move beyond self-exploration and towards a deeper, more interactive experience. "Let's dive deeper, shall we?" I proposed, my voice laced with a subtle, playful challenge. With a gentle guidance, I situated his hands, coaxing him to mirror the actions of the characters on the screen, but this time, with me. The moment was charged with the potential for a new, profound level of connection and understanding. I coached him through the steps, my breath guiding his rhythm, our bodies moving in a quiet symphony, each touch and gesture a shared revelation. His hands, guided by mine, began to embody the language of sensuality and desire, learning to speak the unspoken words of physical intimacy. We arrived simultaneously on screen and in the room, as Marcus, with my encouragement and physical assistance, achieved a peak of sensation. In the aftermath, his eyes, brilliant with discovery, met mine, and we shared an unspoken understanding of the distance we had traveled and the new territories yet to be explored. That night's lesson was a testament to the transformative power of trust and guidance, marking a step forward in Marcus's journey towards self-realization and sensual liberation. After our intense, revelatory evening, a potent mix of desire and discovery lingered in the air, beckoning us to venture further along the uncharted path of our shared exploration. I led Marcus to the bedroom with a purposeful stride, my gaze smoldering with an invitation he couldn't refuse. This was a night meant to push the boundaries, to immerse ourselves fully in the untamed landscape of our connection, and to revel in the shared moments of surrender and ecstasy. The bedroom, enveloped in the soft embrace of the night, became our sanctuary, a private stage set for our secret ritual. The silence, broken only by our breath and the soft rustle of sheets, accented the moment, highlighting the anticipation buzzing beneath our skin. As the moonlight spilled through the window, casting a silvery glow on Marcus's expectant face, I stood before him, a silent conductor about to initiate a symphony of carnal pleasure. I could see the questions in his eyes, a blend of eagerness and trepidation, as he awaited the commencement of our shared passion. "Tonight is about embracing the unknown, Marcus," I whispered, my breath mingling with his. "Let's venture where our desires lead us, exploring the depths of our connection." With these words, I ignited the night's conflagration, the beginning of a ritual that would indelibly mark us both. He mirrored my movements, his hands moving with newfound confidence, guided by the unspoken language of desire that had grown between us. In the quiet of the room, our bodies spoke in a language of touch, tracing and exploring the terrain of each other's form. The gentle pressure of his fingertips across my shoulders, the brush of his lips against my neck. Each caress sent a current of electricity coursing through my body. Our movements were a dialogue, each touch a declaration of our mutual yearning. As we gave in to the unspoken urge, our bodies aligned, our breathing quickened. I felt the throb of his pulse beneath my fingers, the feverish heat of his skin against mine, a tangible reflection of our escalating desire. Every caress was a step towards an unknown frontier, a place where our worlds would collide in a fiery synergy. Our evening became a cat-and-mouse game of pleasure, each dance bringing us closer to the breaking point of sensual perfection. Every move, every whispered moan was a turn of the screw, ratcheting up the intensity of our shared experience. The night air resonated with our intertwined breaths, each gasp and sigh a melody in the symphony of our bodies. The crescendo arrived like a tempest, shaking the very foundations of our senses. our movements synchronized into a frenzied dance, a raw expression of our mutual hunger. I guided him, then surrendered to him, our roles shifting in a seamless exchange of power and vulnerability. In that moment, we were not just teacher and student, step-parent and stepchild, but two beings united in a primal carnal connection. As we reached the heights of passion, the moonlight seemed to shine brighter, illuminating the raw, beautiful truth of our intimate bond. The room reverberated with our gasps and whispers, an auditory testament to the intensity of our shared exploration. In the stillness that followed, as we lay entwined, our bodies slick with perspiration, the realization of what we had just accomplished settled upon us. This night was not just about the physical release or the exploration of our desires, but the forging of a deep, elemental connection, a bond sanctified by the sacrament of touch. We both understood that this was more than a mere lesson or an act of shared pleasure. It was a transformative experience, a journey into the heart of ourselves, where we discovered a profound love, a deep loyalty, and a desire that could not be contained within the bounds of standard relationships. This night served as an indelible testament to the power of surrender, to the extreme heights that trust, guidance, and passion can lead us to, a pinnacle from where there was no turning back. Stepping into the shower, our bodies steam rising under the cascade of warm water, we shared a knowing glance, understanding that this evening was not finished yet. An unspoken consensus remained between us. The bathroom, filled with the echo of the shower's rhythmic pulse, became an extension of the bedroom's intimacy, a place where the lessons of the night could further unfold in a different, aqueous form. I guided Marcus to stand beneath the spray, feeling the night's residue on our bodies wash away, only to be replaced by a new layer of arousal. The steaming water drizzling over us was a form of baptism, cleansing the last remnants of restraint and inhibition from our minds and bodies. "Sometimes," I began, my voice echoing amid the drumming water droplets, "the best lessons are about allowing our bodies to follow where they yearn to go, to surrender to the tides of desire." His eyes, glinting with the reflection of the water, fixed on mine, understanding the invitation that hung in the steam-laden air. Wordlessly he acquiesced, his hands moving gently to draw me closer, erasing the distance between us. In the shower's confined space, we engaged in a fresh dance. My body, pressed up against his, felt alive with every sensation, each touch amplified by the slippery contact of our damp skin. His hands, now confident after the night's passion, explored my body with a renewed fervor, relishing every curve and hollow, making me his canvas for expression. Under his assured touch, every nerve ending tingled, each moment evolving into a private symphony of sensation. As I leaned back against the cool tile, reveling in the contrast it offered my heated body, Marcus's fingers followed the trail of water, instigating a new journey of exploration. His touch was at once firm and tender, causing my breath to stutter and my body to arch. The shower's mosaic of vibrations and the roiling mist heightened the sensory experience, making our bodies' responses even more palpable. The clatter of the water against the tiles provided a rhythmic backdrop to the quickening beat of our hearts and the surge of blood through our veins. "This is about giving into the moment," I exhorted, my voice above the din, finding a new amplitude in the steaming atmosphere. "Let your body respond, guide you, and lead you toward that precipice of pleasure." I took his hand, wet with the caress of the shower, and wrapped it firmly around me, urging him to taste the depths of his newfound control. And as he did, mastering my body's contours with his grip and rhythm, our earlier symphony of moans and whispers morphed into a new auditory experience, a canticle of passion, our private musicale, echoing off the shower's walls. A synthesis of touch and sensation, amplified by the shower's evocative power. It was a surrender to the instinctive, primitive needs that governed our bodies, and a silent acknowledgement of the profound connection we had forged through our shared explorations. We stood there, under the dissipating steam, the cool air licking at our overheated skin. My eyes sought out his, and I could see in their depths the same understanding I held in my heart. The evening had culminated in a transformative experience, the power of which neither of us could have foreseen. Our shower together was not just a physical purging, it was about new revelations of self, a deeper surrender to desire, and a profound trust in the journey that we, as unconventional companions, had embarked upon together. In the dim aftermath of our shower, as the last remnants of steam faded and the shower's mechanical whirring subsided, we found ourselves standing in the drying heat of the bathroom, the world beyond the door momentarily forgotten. Marcus and I, our bodies still damp, glistening in the subdued lighting, shared a private moment marked by an ineffable understanding. We had reached a crossroads in our relationship, a point of no return where the lines of standard familial roles had been blurred, and a new, intriguing connection was born. I could sense the unspoken questions hovering in the air, questions of what this shift meant, how it would define us, and what lay ahead. The palpable tension in the atmosphere was laden with the residue of our passion, a potent mix of desire, vulnerability, and satisfaction. Marcus's eyes, clear windows to his soul, reflected an inward battle, a battle between the satisfaction of giving in to primal urges and the wonders of where this new, provocative path might lead. My gaze, soft yet insistent, sought his, and I knew in that instant that words would fall short of capturing the depth of our experience. "This," I started, my voice a whisper amidst the residual buzz of the shower, "doesn't have to define us." He looked at me, his eyes, deep pools of emotion, asking a silent question of their own. I continued, "But it can bring us closer if we allow it. It can teach us about our bodies, our desires, and ourselves." A gentle nod from Marcus conveyed his understanding and acceptance of this new reality. He had always been a kindred spirit on my unconventional journey, a journey where the rules of relationship were malleable and the definitions of love and connection were fluid. "We're not done yet, are we?" he asked, his voice revealing a mixture of satisfaction and anticipation of the next thrilling adventure. "There's more to learn, to experience on this path we've started down." I smiled, reaching out to brush the dampness from his cheek, feeling the warmth of his skin under my fingers. "No, we're not," I affirmed, my eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief and anticipation. "Not by a long way." In that hushed moment, our private sanctuary within the bathroom, the echoes of the night reverberated in our minds, the lessons, the sharing, and the sweetness of physical connection. Our unconventional education had taken a transformative turn, forging a deeper bond than either of us could have anticipated when this journey began. "Our relationship," Marcus began, his voice thoughtful. "It's been redefined, hasn't it? The usual boundaries don't apply anymore." "No, they don't," I replied, my voice gentle yet resolute. "But that can be a beautiful thing. We're stepping into uncharted territory, crafting our own rules, our own definition of connection." The air seemed to lighten with these realizations, the weight of the evening's activities replaced by a sense of wonder and anticipation. We understood in that moment that the restrictions of formal relationships did not need to apply, that step-parent could become lover, and student could evolve into passionate partner. "So where do we go from here?" Marcus asked, his expression a fascinating mix of excitement and trepidation. "Where does this path lead us next?" I took a step closer, the warmth of our bodies nearly touching, a shared heat filling the space between us. "It leads us wherever we want it to. We define the rules, the boundaries, and the extent of this connection. It's a path of discovery, education, and desire." A smile played on his lips, one that I recognized as a mirror image of my own. We shared a private joke, an understanding that was unique to us. The look between us spoke volumes, an unspoken dialogue of love, trust, and the freedom to explore without limits. "And if anyone asks," he quipped, his voice light and teasing, "we're just expanding our family bonding activities, right?" A genuine laugh bubbled up from my chest, a reflection of the happiness I felt in this moment. Exactly, an innovative approach to family dynamics. After all, we're not just any family, we're a family that dares to live life on our own terms. As the laughter faded, our eyes locked, communicating 1,000 unspoken words. We had ventured into a new phase of our relationship, a phase that promised excitement, growth, and a profound understanding of the beauty in our shared intimacy. The evening's shadows, once a backdrop to our passionate dance, now seemed to envelop us as a protective cocoon, shielding our story from the world and allowing it to unfold at our own private, slow-burning pace. The morning light crept into the room, soft and inviting, a gentle contrast to the moon's sensuous illumination that had bathed us the night before. I stirred, my body still heavy with the drowsy aftermath of the preceding night's passionate revelations. The room, a silent witness to our tête-à-tête, now basked in the calm of a new day, allowing us to emerge from the cocoon of our shared indulgences. Marcus's breath, soft and steady against my shoulder, signaled that he too was journeying in the liminal space between sleep and wakefulness, his body also attuned to the cadence of our slumber. I turned slightly, my back still a testament to our closeness, and watched him as he slept. The strength of his body was evident, even in repose, and his features, softened in sleep, displayed an ease and contentment that spoke of the profound connections we had established. The night's activities, our clandestine adventures, flickered through my mind like a grainy film reel. The heat of our passion, the whispered confessions, the shared laughter, and the ecstasy of mutual exploration, all were vivid images that played across the screen of my memory. The heady melange of emotions and sensations we had experienced still coursed through my veins, a lingering afterglow of our shared indulgence. In that tender moment, bathed in the gentle morning sun, I realized this wasn't just physical or illicit delight. It was about the discovery of a shared vulnerability, the unveiling of our innermost selves, and the forging of an unbreakable bond. Our unconventional connection had crossed into a new, uncharted territory, one that promised an exhilarating adventure in trust, desire, and love. A delicate noise, soft as the breath of dawn, signaled Marcus's awakening. He turned, his eyes fluttering open, searching mine in the gentle morning light. Without words, we shared a mutual understanding of the magnitude of our experiences and the mysteries that still lay ahead. "Morning," he murmured, his voice rich with the morning's languor and the imprint of last night's unspoken promises. "You were amazing," he added, his eyes gentle with appreciation. "As were you," I replied, my tone conveying both gratitude and affection. "Our world, it's no longer the same, is it?" He smiled, a knowing smile that held the weight of the night's revelations. "No, it's not," he agreed. "It's like discovering a new realm of experience, hidden within the familiar." In the comfortable quiet of the morning, we lay there, soaking in the other's presence, the morning's gentle ambiance a soothing counterpoint to the fervor of the preceding night. The room, with its soft shadows and the dappled light filtering through the curtains, became a sanctuary, a private space where we could pause, reflect, and anticipate what the day and our new venture might bring. The air was ripe with unspoken questions and unrevealed desires, but we were in no hurry to rush into the day, instead enjoying the luxury of lingering in the aftermath of our shared passion and the promise of what lay ahead for us as we navigated this fresh, exciting chapter of our unconventional relationship. This morning postscript illustrated not the culmination of our story, but a fresh, vibrant threshold, a departure point for our continued narrative as we ventured further into the enigma of our intertwined desires, marked by a profound sense of love, trust, and mutual exploration.